So I got my glasses fixed. I don't have to strain my eyes anymore looking at the stream and whatnot. So I'm actually kind of in a good position right now to do that. Ugh, well, anyhow, with that in mind, the only other thing that I need to do is really just get some music going. But before we do that, I think it would be fair to disclose what palette I'm using tonight. And yes, I am doing pixel art. I think for tonight, I just want to do something like somewhat complex, but not necessarily insane. You know what I mean? So, I'm going to change the window caption to a moment. And alright, so as you can see, this is the Crystal Skull palette by Jude Buffum on low spec. This is a palette I'm going to experiment with tonight because I think it's going to be a little bit fun to mess around with some of these colors. And hopefully everything will go pretty well tonight experimenting with them. Personally, I kind of like what's going on here with how the skulls are working with each other in terms of like the color structure and whatnot. Am I going to draw a skull? No. But there's a nice aesthetic here that I think I can really mess around with. So that is where I'm going to have a little bit of fun. If you all want to mess with this exact palette, by all means. I left a link into the chat. While we're at it, let's get some music going. So the Game Awards, right now, what do you think will be Game of the Year? My bet's on Silk Song. Honestly, I actually kind of hope it's Silk Song too. Then again, with the Game Awards, you never know. I mean, I'm gonna be totally honest. Last year, I was a little bit disappointed with the Game Awards, like choosing Astrobot as the Game of the Year over Sun Wukong. Like, yeah, I mean, cute robot game, yada yada, but honestly, Astrobot felt very corporate when I watched some of the gameplay footage, and I'm like, okay. I mean, is this really worthy of Game of the Year? I mean, I really felt that Sun Wukong deserved it a lot more. Actually, I'm gonna be totally honest. I felt that Balatro deserved Game of the Year more so than Astrobot. Like, I mean, yeah, Balatro's like a very like basic game, like, but it has like an interesting meta. So that's where I can kind of forgive Balatro in that sense because, like, even though it's like very basic, it does try to do something unique. I was very underwhelmed by last year's Game Awards. I think a lot of people were. Yeah, it has one thing, but it's like really good at that one thing. Fair. I mean, honestly, if it's not Silk Song that gets Game of the Year, at least let it be Expedition 33. That game does deserve Game of the Year, in my opinion. Like, that's like the one other game I'd be willing to say should get Game of the Year. My classmate said that DK Bonanza has a chance of getting Game of the Year or winning Game of the Year because Astrobot won last year. Guy wants Expedition 33 to win, by the way, lol. I mean, honestly, at the very least, I will say this. If DK Bonanza does get Game of the Year, I wouldn't be mad. To be totally honest. Because it doesn't feel like it's trying to, like, be a corporate, it doesn't feel like a corporate game. It actually kind of feels like a real love letter to the DK fans. I have heard it's a really good game. From the gameplay footage I've seen, it's actually a very good game, but at the same time, it's not really enough for me to warrant getting a Switch 2. Which, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of reasons for me to get a Switch 2 until, like, there's an actual price drop. I've stated that before, but I'm just not happy with how Nintendo handled the Switch 2 at all. Like, and maybe this is just after me being let down by the Wii U personally, but Nintendo really just has kind of gone downhill. Yeah, I ditched Switch 1 for Steam because the Switch was getting too expensive for me, lol. It's only going to get worse. The only reason why I keep my Switch 1 is just because of Smash Bros. I don't really have a significant reason to even like invest too much into the Switch at this point. Because it's a lot cheaper to have like a PC in the long run. Like, yeah, if you get like a gaming PC, it's going to cost you like, how do I say this? It'll cost you like a couple thousand depending on what model you get, but you don't have to use it just for like Steam or whatever. You can use it for multiple different purposes between the internet, doing art, coding a website, whatever. Like, it's a fucking PC. Like, yeah, sure, you can get a ton of games for it, but at the very least, like, you're making an investment when you decide to get like a gaming PC. So in a way, like, I mean, if you decide to get like a digital game on Steam for a couple dollars, like, you're probably saving a lot more money compared to getting like game for the Switch too, which is like $80. Granted, there are a lot of AAA games that cost too much money, but that's a whole other story. Yeah, exactly. That's why my PC is my main thing now. Best use of the 11,000 Norwegian kroner. Yeah. No, I don't blame you there. Like, a gaming PC is actually one of the best investments you can make. I mean, I'm gonna be totally honest, and this is just my truthful opinion of the matter, but I think console gaming is dying. Like, I don't really know how to articulate the factors in that. But between consoles constantly getting more expensive to the point where you're paying half the price of a PC anyways, or half of your rent, I just find it totally absurd that we've kind of gotten to a point where we're paying for that much. I mean, yeah, sure, like, Xbox is dying, but at the same time, like, a lot of those Xbox games are going to PC anyways, and even Sony is, releasing a lot of their games onto PC anyways. Switch 2 is too expensive, PS5 has no games, and everyone forgets the Xbox is still a thing. Counterpoints for PS5 and Xbox. While the PS5 has games, a lot of the games you can get on PC anyway, save for maybe like a couple of sports games and like probably a couple of console exclusives that are not going to come out until the year after for PC. The problem is, the PS5 is also very expensive. The Xbox, on the other hand, now, and this is me being brutally honest, I think that the Xbox consoles are on their way out. Like, Microsoft has kind of gone the way of being software only, so to say. I mean, this is the thing with Xbox that I've kind of come to realize. Like, yeah, sure, like, I mean, it was a good competitor for a while, but when people realize that you could get a lot of the same games that are on Xbox or PC, then it's like, what's the point? I mean, honestly, like, even though, like, say something like Gears of War, like, for Gears of War re-release, like, is concerned, yeah, it's still the same first game with upscale graphics, and it's not really like a trilogy release. like it should have been. But there are also a lot of people like who would rather played on PC than have to go out of their way to get a console. Personally, if this is just my nostalgia speaking, I would rather have Gears of War 2 on PC. There really isn't any console games that isn't from Nintendo that I wish were on PC. I have a little nostalgia to PlayStation and Xbox. I have more nostalgia for PlayStation than I do like Xbox, but I've had a Xbox 360 at one point, so I do have some nostalgia for it. But like I haven't really invested in a lot of games for Xbox. There are still some games from the original Xbox that I wish were re-released for PC, like Jet Set Radio Future. Now, that's a game that should be re-released. They re-released the first Jet Set Radio. You may as well re-release Jet Set Radio Future and get like interest going for that game. Fuck yes. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, Nebulate. Like, honestly, like, I never played Jet Set Radio Future, but that game looks sick. It deserves a real release, so I don't know why Sega's sleeping on that. The first Jet Set Radio is delisted on Steam, but I bought it before it was delisted. I bought it before it was delisted, too. I really have no idea why Sega decided to delist a lot of their, games on Steam. Like, to me, that was just a very silly move. I wish I could have bought Nights into Dreams for PC before they delisted it. I'm hoping that they re-list it at some point in the future, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Because Nights into Dreams is actually a very fun game, in my opinion. I wanted to buy Crazy Taxi. Crazy Taxi's alright if you're into like more arcadey games. I remember I bought all the Dreamcast games for mainly Crazy Taxi, which I really enjoy. Yeah. Honestly, Crazy Taxi is one of those games that I would happily play at an arcade if they had it. Like, I actually would say that honestly. Wasn't there going to be a new Jet Set Radio and Crazy Taxi coming soon? I have heard about it a while ago, but I haven't heard a whole lot of news since it was initially talked about. So, I don't know if they're going to announce it or if it's in development hell or what. It's kind of one of those things. Still hype that Sega remembered those dead as fuck franchises. Personally, I wish they put their efforts more into those franchises than they do with fucking Sonic the Hedgehog. Like, don't get me wrong, I get Sonic the Hedgehog is really iconic, and that's not going to change anytime soon, but Sega should have, like, another team dedicated to handling their other franchises, like Jet Set Radio and Knights. Agree. Sonic and maybe Monkey Ball, IG good, but have some balance. Yeah, I think everyone would kind of agree that Sega focuses way too much on Sonic. I mean, you want to know, like, the crazy thing, though, in regards to, like, Sega? I guarantee you that if they actually stayed in the console wars for a bit longer, like, they probably would have ended up beating out, like, a lot of their competitors easily. Because they had, like, creative, games. There's no denying that. The big problem of Sega, though, is that, like, a lot of it had to do with, like, financial troubles. Which is really unfortunate when you think about it in retrospective. Like, I mean, if you look it up, you could see where, like, Sega had a lot of financial issues. They have a creativity, but yeah, they were very unlucky with a budget. Yeah, it's just one of those unfortunate things. The 2000s were not kind to them. You want to know what I think was actually, like, kind of the biggest pitfall for Sega? It kind of came down to the fact that when they had, like, the Saturn come out, they made that, like, into a super expensive console no one could afford. Which at that point, like, what are you doing? Like, the other thing, too, I think kind of helped, did them in, like, was the fact that they focused too much on the Genesis way after its lifespan. Also, I received a shadow drop to console in America for no damn reason. Yeah, that probably didn't help Sega in a lot of ways. Uh, Sega just had like a lot of unfortunate missteps when it came to handling the console market. And you know, I guarantee you if they had a similar yeah, shadow dropping a game, awesome. Shadow dropping a console, why? Probably because we're trying to hinge on like word of mouth, essentially. Or, and this is like the other potential factor, maybe it just wasn't doing so well in Japan. I mean, I don't really know like what led to what. Like, but there's probably a lot of potential factors in why Sega ended up having its downfall. Me neither, sadly. Yeah. Ugh. It is what it is, though. At the end of the day. Sega still exists and is a big name. I mean, the other thing too is that the reason why Sega like still even is able to do what it does is because they're still very big like when it comes to the arcade scene. If it wasn't for that, I don't think they'd even be in business today. That's true. They are massive in that from what I've heard. Never been to an arcade in my life. I've been to a few arcades in my life. The problem is that the arcade scene kind of died in the 2000s. At least in America. In Japan, it's still a relatively big scene. Like here and there, you'll still like have like a couple of arcades, but most of them include bars and stuff. And something like, say, here in Massachusetts, we have like an arcade like Round One, but it's not just, say, an arcade. Like you'll also have like bowling and stuff like that. There's just like one other big arcade that they also have, Dave and Buster's. Like that's the only other arcade that they have like around here that's like a modern one. Like most of the other arcades that are in the United States per se, um, would be like a couple of mom and pop arcades. There isn't really any in Norway, at least in the West Coast. I don't know in the East. Yeah. Actually, I don't even think arcades are that big in Europe. I mean, I could be wrong in that regard, but anyone else is from a different European country, then maybe they can elaborate on that. The location where I live, we don't really have any standalone arcade places outside of like in theaters and bowling alleys. Yeah, that's kind of like the norm because like for the most part, like arcades like usually need to have something else to supplement like the income like bowling. Or a bar. Probably some if the UK, Germany, and France. Yeah, I would assume that the UK has a couple of arcades. I know New York City, they definitely have the what's called the barcade, which, like I said, it's like an arcade, but it has like a bar included. So, like when I've gone to like both the barcades that I know of, they've always had like the old school arcade games like Golden Axe, Street Fighter Alpha. Get drunk and fight over Pac-Man. Yeah! Oh, goddamn. That was good. Fuck yeah, brother! Now I'm just having fun at that. You know what? This has to be a clip. This has to be a clip somehow. Goddamn. Clip copy to clipboard. Street Fighter IRL. Good thing I'm like in studying martial arts and stuff, but I can't really do shit with my leg right now. That's the one problem. I don't know. Maybe I'll just beat someone with my crutches. I got a crutch right here for all y'all. Holy shit. Like, just imagine someone, like, who decides to, like, pick a fight with you when you're injured and you're not in the mood to deal with her shit. So you just walk up to them and just start beating them with your crutch. And you're just going up to him and you're like, boom, boom, boom. Get the hell out of my face, I'm injured. Well, yeah, I got a weapon, but the one problem is I got a handicap. Good lord. This ought to be an Instagram short, I swear to God. Extra defense. Yes! It is extra defense. It's extra defense from stupid people who think they can take an injured guy. Beware of a man with a crutch. You don't know how hard they can shove that thing in your face. Alright, well, I'm about ready to upload my art piece, so... In any case, I'm hoping you all have a good night, and I'll see y'all next stream. Take care.